Hey, good morning, girl. Today is the 2nd of April, 2019. I hope you had an enjoyable weekend. I had a great one. Today's Tuesday, by the way. I went to Santa Barbara and had an enjoyable time at the Nonviolent Communication class or conference. The NVC conference, the Compassionate Communication Conference. Had a good time talking with friends and just enjoying my weekend. Glad it was so warm outside. It's going to be like 10 degrees cooler today than last weekend, which is kind of interesting. It's interesting how temperatures change. So, what's going on with me right now? Well, right now I'm learning about health and learning more about insulin resistance and how fats cause insulin resistance. It's kind of a small research project I've got going right now. I'm always continuing to try to up-level my diet and make my eating more healthful. And I'm really getting a sense now about how I really need to start watching my fats and even watching my protein intake levels. And because I want to try to do a better job managing insulin, making sure that insulin resistance is kept to a minimum for me so I can prevent any future problems with cancer or heart disease as a result of having a lot of insulin in my body or too little. Not I shouldn't say or too little, but yeah, I want to sort of stave off diabetes too. So, I'm working every day to be healthier so I can live longer. So, really, partly so you and I can, have the time to develop a mature, connected, peaceful relationship with one another. And it might mean I need to do the best I can to extend my lifespan. Of course, I would do that anyway, right? So, anyway, I've been working on that lately. One thing I'm also beginning to realize is that I'm pretty much on the go all the time, doing all kinds of things. And, I've got this sense that I think I might want to slow down and do things a little bit more intentionally and have more time for myself, have some downtime. Um, I really am continuously on the go doing all kinds of things, and I just have a sense that it might be too much, that I'm not that it's too much that I can't handle it, because I certainly can. It's just that the things that I care most about, I sometimes don't participate or conduct that activity as often as I'd like. For example, reading. I love reading. Reading is going to be one of the most powerful parts of my life. And I thought about it, and I really don't put a set aside a lot of time for reading. Now, it's true, I've been putting in about an hour at a time, at an hour a day doing it, and that's fine. And that's probably all you can reasonably ask any modern human to do, read about an hour a day. Um, but there are other things too, other things like I want to spend more time communicating with you if I can through various forms of letters and text messages and movies and videos like this. I think that there are probably more things that I can do to reach out and connect with you and your mom. And I think it probably makes sense for me to do that. Yeah. And so there's also weightlifting. I want to, and going to the gym. I want to develop more consistency, reliability, going to the gym. It's a powerful part of my day, and I want to maintain that. Um, some interesting thing. I kind of hurt my calf while running on the treadmill yesterday. I ran for 40 minutes yesterday at 6.4 miles per hour. I normally run it at about 6.2 miles per hour, so I went a little faster today. I kind of strained something in my calf. Hopefully, the injury doesn't last too long. Um, I've got a dancing and art festival coming up in 2 weeks, and so I want to make sure that I'm fully healed and fully prepared for that. So that's something that's been on my mind lately. Um, yeah. So let's see. One thing I'm coming to realize more and more these days is that in order for me to feel like I'm meaningfully connected to the world, I think what I want to do, almost what I have to do, is sort of focus on the gifts, the strengths, the virtues, sort of my my thinking abilities, my thinking, how should I say, my thinking skills. It's more than just a thinking skill. It's sort of an aptitude. There are certain ways that I behave and think that are natural to me and that are of benefit to others and myself. And using my gifts in the world, I think is each individual's calling. And it takes a lot of what I'd call sensitivity and awareness to sort of really figure out what you're good at. Because a lot of the time, I think people do what they're good at and they do so unconsciously. Like there are people who are very talented when it comes to, say, to maintaining a positive outlook, right? They're optimistic people. And, that might be one of their main thinking talents. That's how they spread joy in the world. And, but, a person may not think necessarily that that it's a skill because they use it all the time. It's sort of like the fish in water metaphor, where fish in their world may not know that water even exists because they're surrounded by it. It's too personal. They're just not aware of it because they take it for granted. And I think there might be thinking abilities, skills, and virtues that I take for granted that I'm not expressing to the fullest. And I want to express those abilities to the fullest. I think that that could benefit the world and can benefit myself. There's also another thing, things I care about, right? What is it that I really care about? What is it that I'm passionate about? A lot of the time I talk about education with you. Sometimes I talk energy. Uh, Often I talk about self-growth and self-development, optimism, empathy, compassion, psychology, and philosophy. You know, these are places where my mind goes naturally. And if I can figure out a way to sort of engage meaningfully, thoughtfully with the world using these virtues, things that come easily to me, I think that has the chance to become sort of a pillar of my life, something I can rely on, something I can use, and part of the expression of what makes me essentially human, what makes me essentially Miguel, and you know, give my gifts to the world, and thereby sort of create new meaning and new purpose in the world, or should I say, greater meaning and greater purpose in the world. Yeah, and what's great about that is that I do it effortlessly. right? It's not very effortful if my mind goes there automatically. You know, I don't have to expend any additional energy at all, really, because I'm basically, it's my mind and my behavior is unfolding in ways that are easiest for it to unfold. That might be so. It brings to mind certain characteristics of mine, certain strengths of personality, strengths in virtue that um, I can focus on. A lot of the time I spend focusing on health. I know that there are a lot of nutritionists out there, people who are focused on giving nutritional advice. I don't think I'm one of those people. I don't think I'm a person to necessarily come to for health advice necessarily. I'm always continually working on my own health, of course, but I find it really challenging to tell other people what to believe in the realm of health because it is so complex and changing, and there's so many varied opinions out there. I'm not sure I'm really good at sort of explaining why one position is much better than another, but I don't know. I think if there is, say, a way that when I'm having conversations with people, ways that I notice that I'm impacting others, I think what I do is I impact others with affirmation, with energy, with optimism. There's something about my conversational style that makes it easy for me to connect with others in that way. And I think it moves them. I think it's can be quite meaningful to them. There's also something else that I'm quite good at, and that is just conscious awareness of the present moment and expressing that through language. You know, now I'm not better than anyone I've ever known. I know people who are amazing at sort of being aware of the present moment and sort of using language to describe it. Um, in fact, I met a person yesterday who seems to know what I'm talking about, to have the same kind of gifts I do when it comes to expressing himself in the world through words. Um, I also admire other people who have gifts when it comes to language and what I would call sort of not necessarily, I mean, an inquisitive, curious, sort of an insightful, observational style of communication. Yeah. And, I can use that for good in the world by helping people acknowledge and become conscious and aware of things in their present moment reality. In a way, it's a service. It's a service to other people to sort of help them affirm and verify what they might already know, but know so in an intuitive way that is not sort of explicit. You know, maybe what I can do is become more explicit and more direct in my communications about when I talk about the present moment. That could be a gift that I could share with the world, something that I could use to benefit the world. So I guess that's kind of where I am. What I'm thinking about right now, I'm thinking about, what is it that I'm good at, so that I can have an impact, a positive impact on the world and even myself, right? It's kind of funny. I didn't necessarily have this perspective when I was growing up. When I was in high school, um, my focus was on the things that I was doing wrong, right? It was the things that I more weren't wasn't good at all, like mathematics. At least I didn't feel like I was very good at math, and so I tried to focus more on mathematics. And what's kind of funny was that I never really did get exceedingly good at it. The gifts, the places where I had a lot of, say, mental resources and a lot of facility in performing activities was English and psychology. And interestingly enough, I didn't spend a lot of time on English and psychology because those classes, I had them in the bag, right? It was the problem areas that I was focused on when I was a kid. And in fact, when I decided when I was like 18 years old to get into physics, partly it was a recognition that it was hard for me, that it was something that I could work on, also something that I found intriguing. So it had that interesting combination of a place where I knew I wanted to focus my time and energy to get better, and that there was some like a feeling, there was like emotion there when it came to sort of knowing and understanding what was going on in the world in terms of the material mechanistic world. But now I realize I might have been better served if I would have gone with my strengths instead of sort of my weaknesses. My strengths were psychology and sort of an analytical, thoughtful perspective making, and I don't know. That's the problem with having kids decide what they want to do for the rest of their life when they make the decision about what to major in college. Kids really don't know what's going on, right? They're just guessing. Oh boy. Oh, they just as a kid, I was more focused on what I was not doing right, what I was doing wrong, and putting energy into correcting that. And that's partly why I went into mathematics. um, it's kind of funny to think that I never really did gain any serious facility with mathematics. And it's also not something I think about all the time, even today, which is kind of funny. So, if Emily, I guess my suggestion to you is you were entering high school or actually in high school and you're contemplating what you want to do for the rest of your life, my suggestion is to go with your strengths. What is it what subject matter do you enjoy thinking about and talking about all the time? What Where does your mind go? What do you deem important in your world? Is it your relationships with other people? For me, it was my relationships, and I just didn't quite recognize it as such. Um, because I wouldn't necessarily call science and engineering a relationship heavy subject. But you know what? It did create a kind of balance in my life. Like, for example, I'm not like a relationship coach today or some kind of psychology guru. Um, but I do that in my spare time, right? It's something that I do spend time doing when I'm not at work, right? So I'm balanced in that respect. That I've got like the science and the analytical aspect of my life, and then I've got sort of the relational, psychological aspect of my life in there. They are pretty balanced in terms of time and energy. So I guess that's a benefit to have that kind of balance, to have a fuller perspective, right? I get to see the whole landscape of human experience from the technical side, from I guess the less relational side to the more relational side, at least on that coordinate system, right? That axis. So it's kind of funny. There was another thing that really got me, it strikes me that really got me into science and engineering. And that was my upbringing, right? I grew up pretty religious. And so in my mind, I had a lot of these, what I'd call like cultural expectations, or essentially I was indoctrinated in certain ways of thinking, concepts that I thought were real. And, when I entered college, I was I'm beginning to learn a lot about sort of the world as it is, right? The material world, which is, you know, the way we think about it and using these material metaphors. I think I still think of the world today as consisting of Lego blocks where atoms are the Legos, and it is such a good way to think about the world. That that mechanistic sort of clockwork metaphor for the universe was actually rather new to me, because when I was growing up, my focus was on the spiritual world. It was on hopefulness and for the future, and it was about sort of operating in the spiritual world and not in the physical world. And so, when I learned about this new perspective and began to emphasize it, I got excited about it. And I'll tell you, physics and engineering was definitely a kind of reaction to continual focus on the spiritual world, the world of virtue and philosophy. And so it was actually quite a relief for me to go into science after having a childhood filled with mysticism. And I really liked being right. That's probably just some aspect of the culture in religion that I readily absorbed, right? I wanted to be correct. I wanted to be right. That was what was virtuous. And so, what I did is I went into science, which is kind of funny. I think what's funny about it is because people who are indoctrinated in religion tend to, continue. They want to be right philosophically, right? They want to be right about the virtues that they are upholding, and they want to be right about some of the spiritual ideas that they have. And I wanted to be right too, but I wanted to be right in a way where there was consensus and certainty. And it turns out evidence-based thinking was a great way to be right. So in a way, it's kind of funny how sort of religion worked against itself in that way. I don't know why I've been feeling tired while doing these videos lately. I'm not sure what's going on. I get plenty of rest. I think it might have to do with this light that's sort of peering into my eyes. It's making me, I don't know. Oh boy. So I have an orthodontist appointment today around lunchtime. And my dentist is going to take a look at these braces and see how my teeth are doing. I think what's happened to me is I've just become neutral these days. I've basically given up, right? I don't know what I'm doing. There was a time when I thought that December would be the month when I'd have to have the braces off, but I mean, it's already April, man. It's for the fourth month. I mean, it's gonna be 1.5 years that I've got braces on soon, and I mean, I hope I could get my braces off by May. That would be nice to get my braces off by late May, so that I can I could go visit my family without braces on. That'd be awesome. But we'll see what happens. I think I'm gonna basically stop thinking about it. And you know what? That's kind of easy for me to do because now my braces have just become a part of me, right? They've become an appliance, which is sort of growing out into the world from me. It's like it's a natural part of my body now. It might even be a sort of an extension of my body. It's I might feel sad. I can imagine feeling sad now that when my braces are gone. I sort of had them in my mouth for so long. A year and a half is a long time. Anyway, I am looking forward to getting the braces off, but I don't know. Today I feel a lot more neutral about it. You know, there's this idea that we can influence the world through hopefulness and optimism, and we can influence the world through our attention. And that's true in a really basic way. But sometimes hopes and dreams don't come true. Sometimes they're just not based in reality, right? They're not reality focused. I don't know. Building out these sort of emotional connections or disconnections over time, sort of in anticipation of changes. My guess is that it doesn't work out very well. It's actually probably unnecessary, right? So let's see. I wanted to. The topic for today's video is. See if I can find it. I think it's about my teacher. Like, who was my favorite teacher in high school? Who was your favorite teacher growing up? Okay, my favorite teacher growing up. So I'll start at the beginning. So I had a few favorite teachers. I had like this. Maybe she was a second grade teacher, and I really can't remember much about her. She had big brown hair, but I really liked her. I think we had like a wood panel board classroom. I only have like snippets, but I do remember really liking her. I think I was about 6 or 7 years old. And then there was one of my least favorite teachers, Miss Mullen, in third grade. I did not like her at all. Miss Mullen. Golly. I did not like her at all. She was a third grade teacher of mine. Then I had Miss Parr, which was a fourth grade teacher of mine. I really liked her. She was really good. Gentle, kind. Oh, and then I had Mr. Torres, a seventh grade teacher, who I liked very much. He was very theatrical, and I think he might have been an actor. And he was apparently married to the model who did the Land O'Lakes butter commercials. That's right. The model was a woman who played what I'd call a Native American youth who I don't know, was on the cover of every butter package that it was at the grocery store. So I liked Mr. Torres. I like for his theatrical self, his dramatic self. He was I loved how he taught me the Greek alphabet, and also he made us he made the class memorize poetry, a skill that I was really terrible at, just completely terrible at, and I did not know what I was doing when it came to memorizing poetry back then. I just didn't have any skills. I just read over the poem again and again and again and again and tried to repeat it. And if only what I knew today, I could sort of transmit to my younger self. Well, then I had a science teacher. I guess she was like eighth grade science teacher, Miss. I don't remember her name, but I really liked her. She was really good. And the next teacher I had that I really liked was Miss Marcelo, which was my ninth grade honors English teacher. I think she stands out as one of my favorite teachers, maybe even my favorite teacher. I think part of the reason I liked her was just she seemed to be nice to me. Despite how hard I made her life, I was kind of a class clown inside of her class. And I really regret that now, now that I realize how difficult being a teacher is. But as a kid, I was just not, I had a problem. I had some problems. Like, for example, at my sixth grade, my 6-year-old brother died, right? And I was having a hard time as a young man processing that fact. And but Miss Marcelo was nice to me when she learned that I had lost my brother in death. So, but she was also nice anyway, doing stuff for the class and for the students. And she was in academic decathlon and helped organize that group. And yeah. So let's see what other. Oh, I also liked. I think he was my geography teacher in high school, Mr. Vandelander. I liked him. He's very smart. He had really high expectations for the class, and he was a very good speaker and very neutral, sort of unbiased in his description of the world and geography. Let me tell you, that was a pretty useful subject. We memorized all the countries in the world, and you know, even today, I receive benefit from that practice of having memorized all the countries in the world. I don't know. That sort of completes my high school period of teachers that I liked the most. In college, I had a physics teacher which I liked. I think Dr. Carl Westberg. No. Dr. I had a physics Dr. Westfall. I liked Dr. Westfall. He was a physics teacher I enjoyed, mainly because I guess he was just a good speaker and he was compassionate in his explanations of the principles of physics. He broke it down into simple ways that sort of helped give me confidence that I could learn and know physics. Let's see. What are the classes that I like, or what are the teachers that I like in college? It's kind of funny how my college professors are sort of. I just had so many of them. Um, it's hard for me to pin down. There was. I liked Miss Brenna, my philosophy instructor. I took a few philosophy classes from her. I really liked her a lot. She was interested in the science of mind or the philosophy of mind, and interested in other subjects, basically philosophy. I never did take a Wittgenstein class. I really need to do that. I think there's a lot that could be gained from learning more about Wittgenstein. With philosophy of language. So I think those are. Did I have any more science teachers that I really liked, or just teachers at all in my college experience that comes to mind? Yeah. Oh, Miss Lee. I think that was the name of my science teacher in sixth grade or seventh grade. Miss Lee. Yeah, she was great. I also had another physics teacher that I liked a lot. This was in college. What was her name? I think her name was very similar to Miss Lee. It was like, anyway, I didn't necessarily do well in her class. I just liked watching her teach it. She just did a lot of math on the board, and for some reason, I like that. I don't know why. So let's see. Um, I don't know. So, what's the next question that's on my mind? So, what's the best bargain I've ever found? Well, the best bargain that I think I've got going right now is me having bought my Toyota Sienna minivan. I purchased that minivan for $1,600, which is basically buying a car for free. And I've been using this car for like 3, 4 years. This car already has more than 300,000 miles on it. And I expect I'll get another one, at least 100,000 miles out of it. Um, I love my minivan. I love the extra space in it. It's basically driving around with an extra room. Like it's my room, right? The back seat and the far back. In this vehicle is like a place where I can hang out and take a nap and place where I can read and relax and find shade and peace and respite. Place where I can meditate and place where I can surf the internet. And I just love having a big minivan. It is like bringing your house along with you for the ride. And I've got like a sleeping bag in there, and I've got blankets and pillows, and it's awesome. Having a minivan is awesome. And I would never exchange it for having a regular sedan, any kind of regular car at all, like a coupe or a four-door sedan. I would never buy those again. After owning a minivan, it's like the only way to go. I can keep snacks and drinks in there. I kind of do wish I had like a refrigerator or something like that, or like cupboards or something like that. I do have an interest in getting like a VW Westphalia camper van, a Euro van, but I don't think I'll ever sort of have the money to buy something like that. I like dreaming about it. Actually, the only problem with the Westphalia idea, Eurovan idea, is the van itself. I think they tend not to be very reliable. So Eurovan, I mean, VW has a new Eurovan concept that is out. I think it's a fully electric vehicle. So that might be something to look into. I don't know. It's kind of funny how I'm still well, anyway. I'm still interested in winning the lottery. When am I going to win the lottery? I guess is a question sometimes I ask myself. It may not happen. You know, I think that probably the way that people come into money is that they just save it, right? It's just saved. So money comes into my hands and then it leaves a short time later, which I think is true for a lot of people. Um, but I think that real money that sort of stays with you is money that you've saved. It's money that you've put away. Somehow it really is about savings. That really is and can be a source of wealth. It's almost not how much money you make either. Anyone who makes any decent wage could probably be extremely wealthy if only they just stopped spending money. Absolutely, absolutely. And they did it for a long time, like 10, 15, 20 years. So, I want to say something about music and how much I've been enjoying it lately. I've got this playlist that, every week I pull together a playlist and send you some songs that I've been appreciating lately. Yeah. And I felt really pleased pulling together a lot of songs recently using my Apple iPad Pro. And I'm really getting more and more drawn into music since I've been sending you these playlists and searching for music to send to you. Music that I like and music I find enjoyable. I'm also finding myself dancing more to the music that I send you. It's really fun. I mean, I have a good time listening to the music and sorting through the music. It's kind of funny how managing music is almost as fun as listening to music. What is that all about? I think the same is true with photography. I like looking at my photographs and I like editing my photographs and organizing my photographs. Um, Taking the photographs, I'm not sure I like it so much. I mean, I do it out of a habit mostly, but I just kind of like looking at them and managing them and making them look better in Photoshop and organizing them. The same is true with music. I love listening to the music, but I also love sort of managing and organizing it and seeking out new music that I like and even sharing the songs that I like with other people. And of course, dancing to music. I think music and photography I think they may be passions of mine. But here's the thing. I don't actually put a lot of energy into my music selections, or I'm just putting more energy into it than normal of late. And that's kind of interesting. Um, so that's kind of turning into a passion of mine. What other passions have I got going? That is a good question. Food is a passion of mine, but I have to eat food 3 times a day. Cooking, yeah. Technology. I'm a big lover of technology. I've been loving computers and smartphones, and I love my Google Home. I really do. I learned so much about the world using it. Hey Google, when did the Google Home service start?
My apologies, I don't understand.
Yeah. You know, one of these days, artificial intelligence is going to just burst at the seams. I mean, it already is kind of bursting at the seams. And, I really do have a sense that if I just hang on, you know, for 5 or 10 years, things are just going to be amazing. I mean, what the future brings, the promise that the future brings is just so utterly amazing. I mean, like I was learning about Google Stadia, right, which is their new video game platform at Google, and it was just so mind blowing that it made me realize that, and even the fact that Stadia was going to be entering the market this year in 2019. I mean, there's so many mind blowing things on the horizon for consumers, for citizens of the world. And it's getting even more, everything's getting more miraculous. I mean, artificial intelligence is miraculous all by itself, right? And autonomous vehicles, they're miraculous. And everything we do with computers and smartphones is miraculous. And and even the technology when it comes to health technology and maintaining our health, we've got these MRIs, these CAT scans, we've got artificial intelligence scanning photographs of our bodies, and we have artificial intelligence creating they're diagnosing all our illnesses. We've got genetic testing, and we've got other analytical techniques to analyze our blood. And this information is just coming at us from all directions. It's amazing. And, everything, all the entertainment options that we have available on radio and television and internet, it's just mind boggling, truly mind boggling. And the miracles, it's amazing to me to think that the miracles are only going to get more miraculous, right? We've got 3D printing now, right? Where people are 3D printing food, they're 3D printing tools and equipment, and they're also beginning to 3D print human body parts, 3D printing plants. I mean, we're 3D printing homes and rockets. Everything's being 3D printed. It's just, things are coming out of nowhere. And it's really an exciting time to be alive. And I guess what I want to do is I just want to sit back and observe and enjoy it as it's all coming to be. There's this in society. There's this idea that we need to get up and out and get someplace like we all need to travel to Australia and Great Britain and Germany and have these amazing vacations in Russia or Korea or wherever, or Argentina, or travel to Antarctica or anything like that. The thing about that kind of travel is that it's risky, right? I mean, it's great that it happens, but it's kind of risky. But if you stay at home and just surf on the internet and play on your computer, you can have a pretty amazing life. Just because of all the changes that are going on, right? I mean, even right now, there are probably untold changes that would just blow me away, that I'm just not aware of because I'm just not tracking these issues, these things that are popping up. Like, look at my iPad Pro, right? And my iPad Pro Pencil. I love this thing. Man, this gadget is amazing. And it's changed how I take notes at school. It's changed how I study. It's changed how I read. It's this one device, this tablet computer, has changed so much about my life. I just got it like 3 months ago, and I'm loving it. Just loving it. It's making like shifts in my life, and it's great. I love this march of technology, and to think that, I don't know, Apple maybe in 1 or 2 months is going to come out with some tool that's even more useful than the iPad Pro. I know, I can't comprehend it. Something that I want to use even more. These tools are not only these tools useful, but these tools are addictive. I want to use them more often. It's kind of like using GPS, right? GPS is a great tool for upping the quality of life, your quality of life. It can tell you where an ATM machine is, whereas in the past you'd have to basically guess where the ATM machine is. But this GPS can tell me where to go and how long it's going to take for me to get there, and the elevation I'm at continuously as I drive from point A to point B. I mean, it's a miracle machine. The GPS is a miracle machine. And my tablet computer is a miracle machine. And my smartphone is a miracle machine. They are producing miracles in my life every day. And I don't know, it's great to live in this world. I don't want to die. I don't want to miss out on it. Yeah. So I'm thinking, if I could just spend my time just going to the gym and reading books, surfing the internet, going to work every day, then that may be good enough. I don't have to take really high, physical risks to sort of enjoy myself, right? I don't have to do skydiving, and I don't have to drink vast quantities of alcohol to be happier. All you need to do really is just sit down, wait, be patient, and watch things show up. Like, Google Home from Google it comes up with amazing skills and capabilities all the time, and half the time I don't even know about these new things. Like I'm sure it could translate any language into any other language. I haven't really used that capability. It can make phone calls at a moment's notice, and I haven't used that capability either. I could do. I'm gonna be able to do shopping using Google Home, and I could shop at Whole Foods Market, or who knows where I could shop at. I could order pizza using my Google Home. I've not done that before. Um, I mean, there's just so many things going, so many options in the world. It really is truly miraculous. Anyway, I'm gonna start wrapping things up here. I just want to say that I've enjoyed having this conversation with you, and thanks for sticking it out. And I hope you have a wonderful day today and a wonderful week. And I'll be thinking about you. And this Saturday, I'll send you a few text messages and maybe a drawing that I've done. And we'll go from there, right? All right. Talk to you later, girl. Peace. Is that the peace symbol? I forget every once in a while. Bye bye, girl.